Well, I think some of the new information that's come out, certainly, Maria, of course, in our country, and this isn't just about the United States here, it's about the entire globe, but certainly in our country to see us break a record by a whole degree is an alarm. And that's something, obviously, that was a big statistic that has come out and through here. But, you know, it not only means impacts to us as humans, but also to the animals and to nature itself. I want to bring in Jim Leape, who's the Director General of the World Wildlife Federation. Jim, thanks for joining us. You know, when you think of wildlife in general, is it still the polar bears that are most at risk here?
Well,
in the near term?
In the near term, polar bears are right up front. I think we're already seeing ice rapidly disappearing from the Arctic. But it's also important to remember they're the first of what will be many more to come unless we control climate change.
Yeah, when you look at just the last few years of ice melt over the Arctic, I mean, are they adapting? I mean, what are you seing in their habits?
Well, what
are we just losing them, or?
Well, what you see is ice disappearing much faster than scientists predicted even a few years ago, right? And that is cause for alarm, and it makes us realize that actually, in the quite near future, ice could disappear almost altogether. And we need to be focusing now on how do we protect what will be left to make sure that polar bears still have a home.
Yeah, right now, the current projection, just for everybody at home, is a potential ice-free summer by 2022, which is, you know, right out there. So should that happen, you know, could the polar bears adapt to something or not? They really need the ice.
What we're looking at is, you know, we've identified the region which is most likely to have ice as that melt happens. And then are working with partners like Coca-Cola and with governments to figure out how that area can be protected.
Yeah, that leads me to my next question. I mean, companies seem to be willing to help. I mean, you know, nobody cannot see the polar bear at Christmas drinking the Coke if they just close their eyes for a second. But it's more than that. I mean, they really want to help, don't they?
No, they really want to help. In the case of Coca-Cola, I mean, it's partly wanting to help protect the polar bear, and that comes in the context of a broader commitment to doing their part to reduce emissions. And you see many other companies stepping up to begin to take action on this problem, and that's an important part of getting to a solution.
All right, other animals, other plants, I mean, can they adapt to the change?
Well, if temperatures continue to rise on the pace we've now set, then all bets are off what happens to ecosystems around the world. Clearly, one of the first to go will be coral reefs because of the twin threats of temperature change and acidification of the oceans. But then, you know, it will rapidly roll out to other ecosystems. If you live in the American West, you see the pine bark beetle killing trees on a massive scale.
Right.
And that's the kind of thing you expect to happen with a changing climate.
And now, but on that same note too, we open up new areas. Permafrost areas will become areas that will grow. They'll have seasons, right?
Yes, and there are all sorts of risks, of course, that come with that, right? You begin to melt permafrost, you begin to release methane into the atmosphere, a very powerful forcer of climate change.
So this is really uncharted territory for plants, animals, humans.
I think that's the biggest message, right? We're headed into huge upheaval, and we don't really know how it will unfold, but we know it could be catastrophic unless we find a way to bend the curves.
Jim Leape, thanks for your time. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for the time.
All right, guys. Certainly a lot to adapt to, not only for us as humans, but as Jim was mentioning, plants and animals as well. Maria, back to you.
All right, Jim, thank you.
Hey, Jim, real quick before we let you go, any talk about just human population and how that's impacting the change in climate across the world?
There's no question. There's a lot of people in this world, and the human population is only going to go up as we go on in time, Mike. So the fact that we are, you know, helping or contributing certainly to the CO2 process, and Jim talked about that as well. We need to curb the emissions.